Been a while since you've been my review companion. Ace is so much prettier than you.
Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Writer here, and welcome to a Kamen Rider Geo video. Some of you may have noticed, those that follow my weekly reviews, that I haven't reviewed Geo in a while. I sort of fell out of practice. I think it was back during Loop Pat when I was getting ready for series review stuff. And I'd always intended on doing a catch-up review, and I still do, but there's two main reasons why I haven't done any. Is one, there's just been a lot of content to cover between like news, the Ryu Soldier toys just came out, the Beast Morphers toys came out, you know, Beast Morphers itself, the show, so there's just been a lot of content that I tend to prioritize over Rider, and also I'm just not enjoying the show. You can probably tell by the video title. I think hate might be a strong word, like strong disappointing, strong disappointment. I'm disappointed, but I do plan on doing a catch-up review where I go more in depth about my thoughts on certain things, but I just wanted to go into why I'm just not into Geo, which is part of the reason I'm not doing videos, other than just the time thing. Kind of like with X8, some of you that follow the channel more probably know I had a really rough period of X8 where I was really just X8, you know, and I kind of took a break from it and I stopped watching it for a while, and then I marathoned it later, and then luckily that was around the time when the show was getting better in general, I felt, but it kind of helped me take a step back, and that's happened before with a couple shows. Both Goseiger and Tokuger I had a similar situation where I stopped watching for a little bit because I was very frustrated, and then marathoning it and sort of taking a step back from what was frustrating me and, you know, debates with fans, and then it allowed me to enjoy it in a new light. And I actually kind of like Tokuger now. Goseiger is still, isn't about those though. But the point is that that's kind of worked for me in the past, and I haven't fully stepped back from it because, you know, I still discuss the show on the streets, but I kind of took the pressure off myself to be like, okay, I gotta watch this episode right now because I have to do a review, and I have to be ready for the streets, and like, it would just, the fact that I'm not enjoying, who's Joe? Not enjoying the show, it wasn't helped by me pressuring myself to watch it like homework. So I've just been sort of laxed about watching it, sort of waiting till I was at least in a somewhat decent mood enough to watch it. So I've just been kind of a few weeks behind perpetually, and I'm semi-caught up. I think I'm 1 or 2 behind still, but I'm just giving you like, so then like on Tuesday I had a chicken salad sandwich, and I'm like, you know what, this could have been a better chicken salad sandwich. That's what I feel like this video is like so far. Why am I not liking Geo? It's just honestly a hot mess. Like, Toku in general, even some of the best, most well-written Toku will have mess in it. Just, Toku in general I feel is a messy genre. You'll have a lot of stuff that's, where they put spectacle ahead of plot, a lot of logic problems, a lot of times you have to turn parts of your brain off. That's just inherent, that's just something I think we all have to accept in Toku to some degree. That always frustrated me a little bit because I kind of like logic, although logic kind of overrated, but you know what I mean. And that's fine, I've accepted that. There's certain shows where, you know, I really like them, certain logic doesn't line up exactly, but they give you just enough that you can sort of headcanon it or just let it go. And I feel Geo is just this culmination of so many things I don't like about Toku, which is just this, like, no one's gonna notice if the Puppy and Pigeon book doesn't have an ending, just write it off. That's what it feels like. And you know, some of the stuff doesn't bother people, and this is about, you know, why it bothers me. And if it doesn't bother you and you're able to enjoy it, that's great. I kind of wish I could do that. Like, the thing is that with this show, there is a lot of really cool stuff. I actually love a ton of the ideas, the general setup, a lot of the suits, like the core plot, like the idea of it, I think is great. And I think that's what makes all of my frustrations even more frustrating, is because if even some of these things were just tweaked a little bit, I'm not saying be perfect, but just tweaked a little bit, it could be such a solid show. And it's just, and every time I'll think, Dawson, just turn your brain off, just enjoy the cool stuff, enjoy the stuff that works, and sometimes that'll work for a few minutes, and then Geo will do something and completely rewrite its rules, like, Waz is now a rabbit, because, and I'm like, damn it, Geo! It's like every time I try to turn my brain off, it just does something that pisses me off, and it's frustrating because it's like I want to enjoy it. Like I said, there's been stuff in the past where I've been able to successfully do that, being like, okay, Dawson, they're never gonna explain this part, just let it go, and, you know, I let it go, and then it ends up being okay. But it's the fact that Geo just keeps, it's like they have a different writer every week, and there's like this lack of consistency in the rules, and mastering over all of it, I'm really bothered by the fact that they want to have this cinematic universe based off of shows that were clearly written for different universes. Like, that's why I kind of like DK'd better, because from the first episode they're like, oh, multiverse, boom, that's so easy. Like, it made everything so clean. Decade, I feel, wasn't messy until the end when you realized you weren't going to get answers, but the core setup made for a very clean premise because you had more freedom because you acknowledged the multiverse, and I feel they should have just made it time and space traveling or somehow acknowledged that this was just an Earth where they all took place, because it just contradicts itself so much. And every time I bring this up, they're like, well, they just want to have a cinematic universe now. I'm like, that's not how the Force works. Like, it's all just part of one universe, and that bothers me in general, but that's more of a personal problem. But they just create so many inconsistent rules, like with the way the Another writers work, and like Another Geo. That was such a cool idea, but they really never explained why that should. Because the way they initially set it up is like, okay, when the Another writer happens, it basically takes the writer's place in time, and so the writer now can't exist. And so why didn't that happen to Geo? They basically said it functioned different, but why? All I need is one line. I don't care if it's stupid, I just want a line. Like, oh yeah, Another Geo can exist because Flarn. At least you said something. Kind of like this week, they said that, you know, Blades might, I think I heard that Blades functions different because it was made in 2019. That's at least decent enough. Like, okay, because if the writer's made in the present, then the writer and another writer can exist at the same time. There's not great logic behind it, but at least it's something. And that's really what kind of bothers me, is I feel when they say a lot of stuff, they don't play by their own rules, and it could be so often fixed by just a line. And as I just said, it doesn't have to be like, I don't need you to turn to the camera and read me the mythology off. Just enough of something where it's not bothering me, you know, that you at least acknowledge that you've contradicted something. Same thing with like the future writer stuff. That's one of my favorite ideas Geo's had. I think that's super cool. Like, oh, we have a new timeline, new writers. It makes sense since Oma Geo so far in the future. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that there would be writers in between what we know now and then. That's super cool. I dig that a ton. But then, like, the way the other writers worked, or the future writers worked, was like, what? Like, how is he getting every power he got different? And it made no sense. And then he's like, okay, we merged all the powers to create Revive, but then they're also still separate. Like, it's just so many contradictions, and this is the type of show where you inherently are going to have that mess. And I feel that they could be doing a little bit more, and all I'm asking for is a little bit more, because just make a couple tweaks and I can easily do that thing where I turn my brain off. But I feel like every time I try to turn my brain off, Geo switches it back on with another contradiction. Nope, just Geo with another contradiction. The other thing that bothers me is the characters. I really dislike Sogo a ton. I find him to be really annoying, and I miss badass protagonists in general, and the whole, like, I want to be king thing is just, I feel, really weird, unrelatable thing, and I don't know, I'm just not a fan of him in general. But I think it's, like, accentuated by the way everything is done with Gates, where I get what they're going for, and I can appreciate it. Like, the idea of Gates being basically a Terminator who befriends his target is not a bad one. It makes for some interesting dynamics for the whole show, but I feel that they've really clunkily rushed through what they want to do. Like, I think that for the first 10, maybe 15 episodes, Gates should have just been basically an antagonist. Like, it wouldn't be like Gates is evil. Him and Sogo would still be fighting the Another writers, just obviously different approaches because Gates also wants Geo taken out. And that should have been more serious, instead of basically he attacks in episode 1 and then Tsukiyomi's like, he might be okay, and he's like, and then every episode was like, is he okay? I'm gonna kill him. Is he okay? I'm gonna kill him. It was such a frustrating back and forth, and to have this character who grows up in a wasteland because of this dude suddenly living with him as sort of friends within the first few episodes makes no sense. He should have way more of a desire to take this dude out early on. Like, I think it should have been a much more natural progression. I think they should have been enemies for longer. I'm not sure why they're so afraid to not have everybody not be friends. Don't bother Luke. I don't know how much clearer I can make that. Like I said, I appreciate what they're going for, but it should have just been a more natural progression to him building trust with him instead of immediately engineering the situation where they're all living together and it's kind of almost comedic. Like, it makes no sense. And then when they got to that part when Sogo threw away the driver and it changed the timeline, that was a good moment to prove to Gates that Sogo has hope. You know, that there's hope for him not becoming Oma Geo. And that would have been so much better if they would have had a better progression to that. But then, right after we got that, like, within two, 3 episodes, it was right back to we gotta kill him again because of Geo 2. And it's funny because I got a totally different takeaway from that, because I saw that as Sogo acknowledging his fears of becoming Oma Geo and embracing all the parts of him. And I'm like, oh, this is a good step for him, acknowledging that he can still chart a new path while accepting his dark side, but then Gates and Tsukiyomi took it as, we gotta kill him. I'm like, and then we just got to the next resolution of, we're not gonna kill him unless he goes back. It was basically, we keep going back to 1. And the long-winded, like, summary of this is, I think they have the right idea. I just feel that they haven't earned it correctly. It feels like they want to get to these points without earning it, and I think there's a natural progression here. But, I don't know, like, I'm just not a fan of Sogo. Like, could he, you know, not become Omagio? Probably, because that's the way the series is going to end. Sorry, my French is kicked on. But, you know, logically, obviously this wouldn't happen because there wouldn't be a show unless they recast Sogo or something. But Sogo's just not worth the debate. Like, honestly, like, could he turn evil? I don't know. It's like, well, let's give it a try. Let's take him out and see what happens, you know? People have brought out, like, well, that might not be the crux of it, because there's way more going on. Yeah, but it couldn't hurt to try it. The bottom line is that's why I'm just so frustrated with Geo, is that it's just a frustrating show for me. And it does cool things, and the returning actors is neat. I personally didn't mind the alternate writer take from Decade, but the returning actors is cool, and I appreciate that some of the actors are enthused about coming back. And that's still hit or miss for me, because as Geo's gone on, I've enjoyed it less. So, like, the returning cameos have gotten less exciting because it's in a context which I'm not a fan of. But they've done some good with it. That's also been pretty inconsistent. I feel some of the returns have been strong and some of them have been really weak. I don't think that you're gonna have a perfect show where every returning cameo knocks it out of the park. Oh, I just deleted half the universe just then. You know, it's just been so inconsistent. Even though I think it's neat, honestly, if I could somehow get Infinity Gauntlet and somehow make a cosmic trade, I would make the show better. Like, if it's like, okay, the show can either be good and well written, or you get the cameos. I would toss the cameos away like that if we could have a show that made use of the concept well. But I mean, I get it. Some people, that's all they need, and that's totally fine. It's just not my, that sort of thing isn't my bag, baby. I don't know, that was supposed to be a British accent, and then it was like Southern, but like not. This has been pretty much just a ramble, but sometime in the next, I want to say 2 weeks, I'm going to do a catch-up video where I talk about some of the details, because I will admit, the last couple I watched weren't bad, but I wanted to create a separate video to sort of explain this, so you didn't have me ranting about this and then talking about the specific plot details, because I do have stuff to say about specific plot details. But I'll do a catch-up video, and then I'll probably return to sort of doubling up on them or so. So thanks to those of you that do keep up with these. But anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell with notifications for all my videos. Till next time, Dawson Ryder, signing out.